Hey friends, I'm back to talk about acne. It was not caused by the last sunscreen I tried. No. Actually, in fact, in my last video, you might even notice that there was an onset of a breakout. I was really hoping it wouldn't be that bad, but it got bad. I wanted to do a video today to address some acne concerns, and I namely want to talk about the difference between salicylic acid and benzoyl peroxide, which are two of the most widely used ingredients to treat different forms of acne. There's so much information out there, there's so many products, it's confusing. I wanted to put together a little guide to help you decide which one might be better for you. So I think it's really easy for people to say, always consult your dermatologist before trying any of the products or ingredients that I'm discussing, and I could very well say that. However, the reality is that most people don't have access to a dermatologist. Yes, if you do have access to a dermatologist, these topics are very important to address with them. However, if you don't, and for whatever reason, whether it's cost prohibitive or you just simply don't have time, you still deserve to have some information at your fingertips so that you can make the right decision for you. That's just me keeping it real, okay? I'm not a dermatologist, but I do a lot of research to come up with these videos. And so if you do enjoy my videos, I think you should subscribe to my channel. And you should like the video. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk about what salicylic acid is and benzoyl peroxide is, because they are really powerful ingredients and they can help you achieve your skincare goals. But if used incorrectly, they can lead to a lot of irritation. So when I'm addressing the question, which obviously if you click this video you might have, is which one should I use? Well, it's not as simple as just me telling you which one to use. It really depends on a lot of different variable. Ultimately, the product and ingredient that you choose is going to be highly dependent upon your underlying skin conditions and the type of acne that you have that you want to address. Of course, always take precaution when you're trying a new product, and this includes patch testing. Make sure that it doesn't cause a huge problem before you rub it all over your face. So let's get into salicylic acid. What is it? What is it? What is it? It's a beta hydroxy acid, which is just a fancy way of saying that it's an exfoliant that is fat soluble. This ingredient is found in nature in willow tree leaves and bark, as well as wintergreen leaves. It can also be lab synthesized, but both forms work in the same way. The reason why salicylic acid is effective is because it really concentrates in the pores once applied to skin, and from there it dissolves both oil and the sticky substance that holds skin cells together within the pores that create clogs. People with acne tend to have skin cells that multiply faster, leading to more stickiness and buildup and clumped skin cells within the pores. So what salicylic acid can do is actually dissolve that sticky substance between the skin cells, allowing them to actually get lifted up to the surface and then exfoliated out of the skin. In addition, salicylic acid also has some light antifungal and antibacterial properties, and it can also lightly exfoliate the top layer of the skin. Where it really shines, though, is controlling the oils and skin cell buildups that feed the bacteria causing acne called C. bacteria, otherwise known as Cutibacterium acne. Now, this is the new name for what used to be called P. acne. Don't ask me why it was renamed. I really have no idea. I'm just trying to give you the most accurate information. Just know that there's bacteria that lives in the skin and can thrive in clogged pores where there's little oxygen. Salicylic acid also has anti-inflammatory properties, which makes it soothing to the skin. And that's a really unique property because a lot of skincare products can irritate the skin, especially when they exfoliate or are trying to resolve an issue like acne. In addition, what you find over the counter is a very low dose at maximum strength of 2% or even maybe 3%, which is very unlikely to cause irritation in the skin. It's actually really closely related to the active ingredient in aspirin, which kind of makes sense why it has some soothing properties, right? So moving on to benzoyl peroxide, what is it? Well, it's an antibacterial ingredient, which is really effective at killing acne-causing bacteria, which we just talked about, called C. bacteria. The way it works is by breaking down into both benzoic acid and oxygen once it comes into contact with the skin. The oxygen component binds to the outer layers of the bacteria and protein, thereby killing them, because this type of bacteria only thrives in an anaerobic condition, which means a condition that's completely void of oxygen. In addition, the benzoic acid allows the skin to dry and exfoliate, thus unclogging the top layer of pores, or the plug of a pore. One of the most notable aspects of benzoyl peroxide is that there's been no reports of bacterial resistance against this ingredient. That means that acne has not been shown to develop a tolerance for this ingredient and thrive despite continued use. This ingredient is inherently more irritating to the skin because it doesn't have anti-inflammatory properties like salicylic acid. Unlike salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide does not concentrate in the pores alone and affects the entire area of the face that it's applied to. As a result, it can be really drying and can even lead to rashes, so it's best to proceed with caution when using this ingredient for the first time. So now the question is, which one's right for you? And it really depends on what the condition is that you're trying to treat when it comes to acne, because there are many forms. Generally speaking though, salicylic acid tends to be recommended for people who want to treat blackheads or whiteheads, which are known as comedones. This is a form of acne, but it's not caused by the C bacteria that causes inflammatory acne. Rather, blackheads and whiteheads are a buildup of skin cells and oil in the pores that need to be cleared out. And as we talked about, salicylic acid is really effective at doing this. On the other hand, benzoyl peroxide really shines in the presence of C bacteria that causes inflammation and raised bumps, whether they're cysts or papules or pustules, like when you have an active pimple that has pus in the center of it. Benzoyl peroxide can get in there and actually kill off those bacteria. Both ingredients come in a variety of products, whether they're creams, gels, spot treatments, washes, and what you're going to use is really going to depend on how much risk you want to take and how sensitive your skin is. So in the case of salicylic acid, the highest concentration sold over the counter, as we talked about, is I think 3%, though typically really most products go up to 2%, and that's what it's generally sold as in washes and even toner leave-on treatments. Although salicylic acid is very unlikely to cause irritation in the skin due to its anti-inflammatory properties, there's still a condition called salicylate toxicity, which can occur when salicylic acid is applied to a large portion of the skin in high concentrations. So you should know this, although the likelihood is very low considering that the concentration sold over the counter is so low. Wash-off products are still the safest bet if you have extremely sensitive skin and you're just using it for the first time and have not used a lot of actives. Studies have shown that the wash-off form of salicylic acid is still very effective because, as we mentioned before, salicylic acid concentrates within the pores, and applying it to the skin, even for a short amount of time, allows the crystals to work their way in there and stay there for the rest of the day. So while the rest of the product is washed off of the rest of the skin, those crystals, those salicylic acid crystals, can still be present within the pores and work their magic. Leave-on toners are also another option for people who don't want to wash their face with this product for whatever reason, and they can be very effective. Still, salicylic acid is limited in terms of what it can do to treat the underlying causes of inflammatory acne. Of course, it cannot actually kill the acne-causing bacteria that lives in the skin, but it can reduce significantly the amount of skin cell buildup and clogs, as well as oil, which feeds the C bacteria that causes inflammatory acne. So it can indirectly really improve your skin in terms of acne. However, it's not going to kill the bacteria in the same way that benzoyl peroxide will. Thus, if you have a lot of inflamed acne, benzoyl peroxide might be a better option for you. Like salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide is sold in many forms, including leave-on and wash-off. The range it's sold over the counter is between 2.5% and 10%. Since it is more likely to cause irritation over salicylic acid, a wash form is probably the safest bet. In addition, if your acne is kind of pervasive and all over, a wash might be easier to apply than, let's say, a spot treatment for every raised bump on your face. Now, if you're just trying to treat sporadic pimples and breakouts, a spot treatment might be better for you. This could lead to less irritation overall, actually, even though it is a leave-on form, because you're not applying the product to a large portion of your face. Most spot treatments are sold at a 10% concentration, which is the highest level sold over the counter. So be aware that this does have a higher likelihood of causing irritation and even a rash potentially. So try using it on only one small area at first to see how your skin reacts to it. It can be quite effective, these spot treatments, at relieving acne even overnight. The other option is actually using both treatments. I don't advise using both at the same time, but it's not unheard of for dermatologists to actually recommend it in this way. It can be a gamble, especially if you've not used either product before, so I really don't suggest starting with this. But what you can do potentially is use one of the products in the morning and one in the evening, and that way you're not using them back to back. The combination of the ways you can do this is, at least 6 different ways, but you can do a salicylic wash in the morning and then a benzoyl peroxide spot treatment in the evening, or you could do a benzoyl peroxide wash in the evening and then a salicylic acid toner in the morning. There are different combinations of ways you can do this, but I would suggest sticking to one of the products first. And if you're just starting, I would say start with salicylic acid and see if that does not help, even if you have the raised inflammatory acne. While it does not directly target C bacteria that causes inflammatory acne, it still targets the substances that these bacteria thrive on, like the buildup and the oil. So try this first because it's the least likely to irritate your skin and it still can provide really great results. Now, if you're only looking to treat your blackheads and whiteheads, definitely just stick to the salicylic acid. I really believe in the path of least resistance, and this is the safest way to really clear some of that stuff up. What do I do personally? So I did a morning skincare routine about a month and a half ago where I showed you that I use a salicylic acid wash in the morning. Now, I do not do that every day because I don't believe in washing my skin twice a day. Still, I'd say about once a month, I do use the salicylic acid treatment. Sometimes I'll just choose an evening. I'll use the salicylic acid wash, and then I won't use tretinoin that night. The impetus for this video was this breakout that I'm dealing with right now that I'm sure you have not been able to ignore, although I don't want to be dramatic about it. It's not that big of a deal. It's gone down significantly. What I did yesterday was apply the benzoyl peroxide before bed. Well, actually, I applied it midday and then also after I got out of the shower before bed. Some of you know that I use a tretinoin cream. Yesterday, I did not apply the tretinoin in around this area because the two should not be mixed together. So I only use the benzoyl peroxide very sparingly, only when I have a nasty flare-up and I need to treat it in an overnight setting. I don't in any way use this for more areas than just like one at a time. And I don't have extremely sensitive skin and therefore don't experience any extreme irritation from this. I definitely do get some flaking, which is expected from the benzoic acid, but nothing out of the ordinary there. And it is quite effective, if I do say so myself, because this pimple was looking very gnarly yesterday when I first applied the treatment, and it's just reduced significantly since then. So there you go. I hope that cleared up the difference between salicylic acid and benzoyl peroxide. I know that there's a lot of information out there. I will leave some links below to some products that are fragrance-free in terms of the salicylic acid option or the benzoyl peroxide option. And I'll also leave links to other skincare products that I use on a daily basis. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.